Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. And I guess Grudy doesn't understand the words 5 seconds mean, so he starts talking.
Did you say 5 seconds?
Yes, I did. Anyways, guys, welcome to episode number 107. We appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Wow, we got 34 concurrent viewers right now is what I'm showing.
Nice.
On here.
I guess with this many people waiting, we probably should have put a little bit more effort in preparing the show because we have nothing. We're just winging.
What are you talking about?
We actually have topics, so we got some stuff to talk about.
Look, seriously, we will drag these out, no problem at all.
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
It's our fame in life. We drag stuff out, and make it last.
Yeah.
So how's everybody been doing this week? I know here it's been snowing and cold, and I wish we could ship all that stuff to Jay. I know both Steve and I are wishing that.
Well, I spent 6 days of the last week bitching and moaning at you guys for getting all the snow, and then the last 2 days I got a foot and a half, so I'm happy now.
What's that?
I've got about 7 or 8 inches here, so I'm happy.
Nice.
Well, I mean, we got some today, but it didn't stick because it never got below 32 degrees, so it was like 34 all day, which is a good thing. So it didn't freeze the roads, didn't do any of that stuff. So
that's no fun.
Oh no, that is definitely fun.
I worked really hard to get back. It took me extra probably hour to get back from a regular trip.
It would have gone faster if you weren't holding your phone to record video.
Well, I wasn't driving, so.
Oh,
it's all the wind drag from the hair.
I was going to say, everybody should have seen Grudy's hair before the show started. He looked like, you ever see those mountain men and stuff? He made them look good. He made them look good.
All right, Grudy, let's see it.
What? No.
Take your hat.
No.
You know what's funny, though, Jay, is he probably didn't comb it. He probably just threw the hat on.
Exactly. That's what I always do. That's why I always wear a hat.
Part of his persona.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and jump into our first topic tonight. And it's a pretty good one, actually, because I think last week we actually did talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
It's about the Mac Mini, or the development kit for the developer kit for the M1 that Apple was wanting to only give $300. What was it, $300 or $200? I can't remember.
200.
I think it was 200.
Yeah, and now they listened to us at Mac Yak. They must have been watching our show.
Yeah,
that's it.
Because we made some really good points.
Exactly.
That's definitely it.
And guess what? They changed their mind. Now they're giving $500.
Yeah,
so.
As they should have.
The thing is, my offer still stands for any developer that still has it. I'll give you $750.
Yeah, and that's very much worth their developer account being frozen.
Stolen.
And a zero, Grudy.
Yeah, I was going to say, Grudy, I don't think anybody's going to take you up on that. I mean,
You never know.
they're not losing any money now, so I think they're going to probably take up Apple on that offer and send those
probably.
back. So.
I mean, that's a surefire way to get everybody to send it back. They were just going to have problems if they didn't. Just think of like the resources problem of like having somebody at Apple track down who returned them, who didn't, and like go through the process of like reprimanding them or what. Like that would have cost more than just giving these people a $300 credit, which you're going to have a tax write-off anyway.
No, there might be some dude in the basement, like sub-level 6, on a classic Mac with Apple Works spreadsheet, trying to keep track of who has what and when they returned it.
Ah, crap! My machine froze. I need to reboot.
I was just trying to read some of the comments here. So Sean said, "Did you send him a sternly worded letter?" I think one of us may have done that. I don't know who did it, but
No, I emailed Woz.
Okay.
And
my image writer is still printing out my letter.
He said, "Stop bothering me. I told you once already."
3 times.
And Tim Apple will be on the show next week, and he's going to explain the decision.
Yeah, if you guys believe that, I have some swampland in Florida. I'll sell you real cheap.
I have a bridge to sell you.
I have a developer kit to sell you.
Hey, Grudy's will buy it for $750.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put some paint on this first gen Apple TV and sell it to Grudy.
Payment in advance, please.
Are they actually giving $500 back, or is it a $500
store credit?
It's a store credit. So basically, it's good in a way because they're not losing any money now. I think, like Jay said, Apple did the right thing because I think developers are like, wait a second, you guys are keeping $300 of ours. I mean, I think even $400.
And we did all the legwork for you.
Well, I even think $400 would have been fair, but you know, $200 was not fair at all.
No, I mean, Apple was giving out this hardware because they wanted feedback as well. I mean, no matter how many people you have internally in Apple's QA team or QC team or whatever you want to call it, you're never going to find all the bugs, especially for people that write software that doesn't write software like Apple. So, you know, it was basically like a lending program of like, hey, you have the opportunity to give us feedback and you get this hot new hardware. And, oh, by the way, can we have it back? You know, it's like you're doing a favor for them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Apple would be nowhere without the developers.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be right back in 1997.
Yeah, I think they
need the developers more than the developers need Apple.
And I think Steve Jobs learned that lesson too with the first iPhone because remember they didn't have an app store or anything, and they tried to push that iPhone out without any apps. And
I can't believe I ever had a use for that thing.
Web apps.
It did nothing.
Well, remember that was Steve Jobs' thing is every developer can make web apps, you know, and developers like no.
Yeah.
Well, they quickly changed their tune.
Well, I think at the time though too. Remember, it didn't run Flash because remember that was Steve Jobs hated Flash, and so you know a lot of the apps in the day back then were run on Flash, you know, so a lot of developers were using that. So trying to use something as a web developer is like, you're like, I'm going to have to rewrite my whole software just to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
On Flash, I'm actually just looking for the link now. There's a really good, what's his name, Computer Clan video. Ken did this fantastic video on the death of Flash, and he goes into a whole bunch of history about Flash, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to grab a link to that now, and I'm going to pop that into the chat because if you haven't seen it, it's fascinating stuff.
And go and watch it after the show. Don't watch it now.
Yeah, don't watch it now. For goodness sake. You'll miss all the good
can't
stuff.
hear you. Ken's talking. Hold on.
But anyways, if you guys don't know Ken, he's been on our show a few times. So he's a real good friend of Mac Yak. He supports us too. So go support him as well. Anything else on this topic before we move on?
No, I think, even though they didn't do it voluntarily, they did it because of pressure, mostly from Mac Yak, of course. But in the end, they did the right thing. So I'll give them kudos for that.
Yep.
It is funny reading the letter because it says, our intention was to recognize the tremendous effort that you put into creating these apps. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they thought they could get away with it, is what they did, and I'm willing to bet you the board of directors came up with that amount. And
whoever came up with that amount is now in hot water. Let's just say that.
Well, it was probably the board of directors because
I'm sure it was some manager who's like manager or developer transition systems.
And they're probably not a manager no more.
Exactly.
They are now the guy in the basement with the Apple Work spreadsheet. Good job.
They need to watch their pennies. I mean, sort of got to be careful. With a company
they
like
are
that.
almost broke. Yeah.
What do they got?
Right.
How many trillions of dollars they got?
Not enough.
Not enough to give me some. That's for sure.
Be gone in a flash.
So somebody's going, it's just better to hold on to these Apple Silicon development kits. Those will be worth quite a lot. Yeah, but see, you don't understand. We just got finished talking about this. If Apple says they want them back, and if you don't turn them back in, you get your developer account turned off.
Yeah, read the fine print.
Exactly.
Not worth it.
It's not worth holding on to it because it's not going to be worth that much. look, Grudy's only wanting to pay $750, $250 more than what they cost. So
Yeah,
Well,
he's
it's
cheap.
just because it's basically an iPad Pro with a Mac Mini case around it. It's not worth that much
yeah, but
Yet.
yet
until
it becomes it's a prototype. I got a prototype. To see Grudy just
Exactly.
I only spent 10 grand on this. It's awesome.
And it bonged.
bombed. Oh, we make fun of you, Grudy, but we love you, man.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, just move that PC a few inches off the desk, and then we'll be good.
Okay. All of us but Jay love you.
There we go. All right.
Sounds accurate.
So next topic up for tonight, and I think we talked about these before. I don't know if we have actually. What do our home networks look like? I'll start off with mine. Mine is basically I come off of my Verizon Fios into their proprietary modem because you cannot buy one that gets the signal from the fiber into the house. And it goes
your particular connection.
Exactly, my particular connection. And then it goes into a sort of like a router type deal, and it goes through the cable system. So it makes it into coax because this apartment complex that I'm in was not wired up with Ethernet LAN. Now, my new house is going to have Ethernet all through it. So I'm not going to have that
Even
problem.
in the attic.
Huh? Yes, I'll put it in the attic. But I'm going to have Ethernet in all the rooms are going to have Ethernet, at least one Ethernet port in them. So that's a plus. So I will have hardwired and no Wi-Fi for most of my stuff, Grudy. Like, yeah, Grudy believes in Wi-Fi, but and I'll let him talk about his network in a minute. But right now I'm running that, and then from that I have a satellite link here from Fios that converts that back into Ethernet, and then I have that running into some Apple what do you call it, the time capsule routers and stuff, and those split up into more ports, and I have a hardwired into my Mac Pro, hardwired into a couple of other computers in here, but it still sends out a Wi-Fi signal as well, so I use my iPhone on it and stuff like that. But that's pretty much basic right now, but it's going to be a lot different when I move into my new home. And I'm going to basically map that one out a little bit better than what I have here, because then I have more control of I can do what I want because it's my house. So,
right.
So Steve, why don't you go next?
Sure. So I got an Ethernet cable coming through the wall. That goes from outside, obviously. That plugs into the Verizon ONT thing that's outside. So I have a Fios setup, but it's Ethernet, it's not coax. And so that comes in. I have a router. The Wi-Fi is off on that because whenever I turn the Wi-Fi on, for some reason the router acts up. I've been meaning to switch it, but as long as the Wi-Fi is off, it doesn't overheat or whatever the heck it does. So whatever.
Probably both trying to hand out IP addresses or something.
What?
They're probably both trying to hand out IP addresses.
No, because the way I have it, the DHCP is only enabled on the router, not the subsequent devices. But yeah, so there's a D-Link router that I have, and then for Wi-Fi, I just have a time capsule. And there's one in the living room, there's one in my office, so that covers the house pretty good with the Wi-Fi if needed. But there's an Airport Express somewhere that just acts as an audio bridge. But that's it. There's a wired switch in the basement that it was plenty of 16 empty ports when it started, and now I'm sure there's no ports, as you saw from my recent live stream when I unplugged the wrong port and my streaming computer went off for a few seconds. So yeah, that's a lesson learned. Get more ports than you think you need, because I'm sure there's plenty of Ethernet cables that are just going nowhere. They just have to round up, but they all are the same color, or most of them are. So
that's why the ports light up, right?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones where the bottom row has the lights under the cable, so I'm like, have to lift the whole thing up. So, but yeah, that's my network. It's not too crazy. I guess we'll get to the backup portion of this a little later.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, Jay, talk about yours a little bit. I know you got a pretty sophisticated network in your house.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how am I going to condense this into 30 seconds or less.
You got time. We got time. Go.
Well, for
goodness sake, make it interesting.
I have cables all over the place because I keep changing it every week. Cable management doesn't exist in my house. Everything is Ethernet. I have Wi-Fi, but it's off most of the time. Everything is wired. I have a basement that runs the full length of the house, so I can get to any room from the basement. So I just drilled holes in the floor in every room, started running cables. And, when I have an idea to add a security camera or do stuff, I rip it all down and I start from scratch and I hang the cables all neatly with these little zip ties, and then I find out I missed something and I have to cut it all down and do it over. So I stopped doing that, and now I just run wires all over the house.
So you just run over with wire clippers and just start cutting the ones that don't go anywhere?
I did that with the coax. The previous owner of this house had, I think, 4 or 5 coax breakout boxes in the basement with 4 or 5 cables going through every room. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but I cut all those down. But yeah, it's a very interesting mix of switches, firewalls, a whole bunch of Mac Minis, a few Xserves, and I don't even know how to make sense of it. So.
All right.
Works.
And next week it'll be different.
All right.
Mine's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I've got fiber coming in. That fiber actually allows me to have up to 4 connections, 4 connections to 4 separate providers. I'm using 2 of those. So I've actually got 2 internet connections coming in with 2 different providers. Obviously one working as one sort of is for my business server, my company server, and the other is just for the home use, and the other serves as a backup. I basically Ethernet everywhere. To every room has an Ethernet outlet on it. Ethernet down into the workshop. Then I've also got Wi-Fi. I've got the Wi-Fi base station here, but I've also got an airport. I've got like a 16-port switch in here, and then I've got an airport. What's the big one? The airport. I think
Airport Extreme.
Extreme, yeah. It's sitting out on the other end of the house, connected to the Ethernet network, so it's actually then extending the signal. So I've got pretty good Wi-Fi coverage throughout the house for all the little iOS devices and stuff like that. But all of the computers, any computer that can be connected to Ethernet is connected to Ethernet in this house. Just much prefer it. Just prefer the speed and the stability and all that sort of stuff. So there is really nothing particularly interesting about mine. Fairly, sort of straightforward.
All right.
You just told me to make it interesting, and then you come up with this.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? I should have made some stuff up.
I know.
All right, Mike. How about
what about
you?
The satellite on top of your roof?
Yeah, that's right. And all of the data is carried by ferries.
The same ones that steal your capacitors.
All right, we'll go to Mike next here.
Well, mine's no more interesting than anyone else's. I got a Comcast business cable modem behind me. I got cables going over to my streaming computer and my workbench, and then I got cables coming around here. I got an 8-port gigabit switch behind my monitor, and it goes out to my Mac Pro and then out to my entertainment center. So the only room in my apartment that doesn't have Ethernet is my bedroom, and that'll change in the future.
And the bathroom, hopefully.
Well, yeah. I have Wi-Fi. The only thing that uses it is my iPad, and I have one of my laptops on right now, but that's about it. Yeah. Other than that, I don't use Wi-Fi. Everything's cabled. So, and I need a bigger switch. I actually ran out of ports.
Yeah,
after I wired up my entertainment center, I ran out of ports on my switch.
How many ports did you have?
8.
Oh, see, I typed in the chat. I want to get a 16-port switch.
And just to give you guys a tip, if you're looking for 16-port switches, if you go on eBay or any of these social media marketplace things, they're always there because people are in businesses or whatever are always getting like larger switches.
Oh yeah.
I got mine. It was basically free because the guy it was stuck to a unit and the bolts were all stripped. So I just came there and clipped it off, and he's like, "Okay, you can take it."
I get my switches from the recycling center.
Yeah, there you go.
They just give them away. They got pallets full of them.
Yeah.
TP-Link, Netgear, Linksys. And say, oh, I want that one. Give me $2.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
I got mine because it was $2.99 at the thrift store, brand new. It was a Netgear. And it's a gigabit.
There you go.
Most of the used switches I find around here are 10100s.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Dana?
I just have cable coming into my own cable modem. It's a gigabit capable, but I think my download is 600 megabit. And then I've got a I think it's a D-Link router. It's one of those. It's got the three, like the W antennas on it, like that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot stronger than the one I used to have. So downstairs, all of my computers are networked on Ethernet, and upstairs, this Mac Pro that I'm on right now is on wireless because I can't run a cable up the stairs of the house and across the kitchen. So,
Yeah.
but it works.
You
it
can.
works
You
pretty
just
well.
don't want to.
Yeah, and I'll trip on it every other day.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Now, the office that I'm working on at the other end of the house is going to have full Ethernet in there. And I've got a server cabinet with an Xserve and my Plex server, which is a Mac Pro 1,1. And I think I'm probably just going to throw that G5 in there too. And then that's all going to be networked. So the only thing that'll be on wireless will be my mobile devices.
And last but not least, the reason why I left Grudy last is because he's going to tell us about his network nightmare.
This will take a while.
That's why.
I actually, my network is built into my dad's old network. And he was converting everything to 10 gigabit. So my internet comes in cable into my modem, and my modem is it's supposed to be a 1 gig connection. I get maybe 500 if I'm lucky. That goes into it goes into my Linksys node system, and then it also the node system's connection goes down into a 48 10 gig network switch, or 1 gig network switch with 4 10 gig ports in it. And then it's connected to a time capsule, 4th gen time capsule with 10 terabytes on it. And then to my Xserve G4 with 15 or however 14 terabytes of storage. And then my node system, which is the one that Apple recommended when they replaced airports, sucks. My node system, I have a node in the basement where all my internet stuff is and the whole network. And then the node sends its signal up to upstairs, right directly above it. There's another
let's
node.
tell our audience this is sending it wirelessly, right?
Yeah, of course. That one I occasionally connect a computer to. So it's kind of like a wireless hub. And then I've got another node which never works right, which I usually leave off. It's connected into a retro Airport Extreme for older computers to connect to wireless B. And then and that's also remote controlled, so I can turn it on and off, so I don't have security problems.
Hey, has anybody noticed that the stream, I got an error occurred?
Really?
Anybody else having stream issues? Or
Yeah, the stream looks fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Looks okay to me.
looks okay to me.
Yeah. And then at the end of the house, I have a node which usually works, which broadcasts my Wi-Fi into the studio building in the backyard. And the studio building has another node, which also has a retro Airport Extreme connected to it. And then I also have another node, which when it works, I have connected to that.
A lot of variables here.
Which I wire.
Which when it works.
Which I wire Vintage Macs into when I do videos and stuff in the studio. And then all that node next door also can broadcast towards the end of the house to where my other studio is for the garage channel that I haven't actually gotten up yet. And the Wi-Fi will usually cover most of the general area of my property too, which means that when it's working right, I have a blanket of Wi-Fi. So
yeah, but
no
you always complain about it though.
Yeah, because it never works right.
Yeah. And how many times has Steve said he would come there and wire it up for you?
I'm waiting for him to show up.
Steve's like, no, I'll hold my mouth.
I even have rolls of Cat 6 and 7 for him. That my
you
dad
can buy a crimper yourself and do it. But shorter than it would take me to go there.
True.
Just tie one of the Ethernet cables to your dog, put it through a vent, and it'll find its way. And then
I'm lazy.
Really? We couldn't tell that. Been telling you
I
for
heard
over
a lot
2
of
years.
a lot of you guys are saying time capsule, Airport Extreme, and all that. Is that what you all use for backups?
I actually use the
of
time
things.
capsule for backups as well as a Xserve RAID. I have.
I used the time capsule as a backup until it chewed through 2 hard drives. So now I just use my Xserve RAID.
Yeah,
Steve?
I have the Backblaze setup, so that's for all my modern, machine data and all that stuff, the external drives and everything. I have the time capsule for some of the basement machines and the Mac Mini and stuff like that. The Intel Mac Mini that's behind me. And then the Xserve downstairs, the G5 one is for all the PowerPC Macs, so everything backs up to that. With the exception of the Leopard Macs, the Intel Xserve handles those, so those will back up via the Time Machine service. As well as a few other random machines here and there. Some of that's manually backed up because Time Machine didn't exist before 10.5. But yeah, it's just a mix of some of those things. It's not the best organization. I am still fighting with the Backblaze licensing thing to get it from one partition of my Mac Pro to the other, because I had to reboot to High Sierra every time I want to do that. And there's like 4 gigs of files that are just like, oh, you're all backed up, but there are these files that are just going to sit here and they just don't do anything. So that's going to be fun to figure out.
Nice. Dana?
On my Mac Pro, I use Time Machine on a 2 terabyte RAID. It's actually it's which is it? What's the mirrored? If you have 2 drives and they're mirrored, is that 0?
RAID 1.
RAID 1.
Yeah.
So it's RAID 1, and I have 2 terabytes of storage on that, and then I have a 2 terabyte drive that is the one that does all the backing up. So everything else in the house either backs up to cloud or doesn't need anything backed up.
Cool. And you, Mike?
At the moment, I'm just backing everything up to iCloud. So I'm working on getting a NAS here in the near future.
Oh, I also back up onto Jay's Mac Pro too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Bruce,
Thanks for the
I know
bandwidth.
you got a rather large disk array, I believe.
I kind of have sort of a couple of different things in terms of the backup strategy. One of them is designed for fast recovery. So that is essentially that any hard drive I have running on my main computer, there is a second hard drive that is where the data is copied onto that on a regular interval. So the idea being that if something goes down, I could just boot up off that backup until I get things, sorted out, go buy a new hard drive, and then, mirror it from the backup to the, to the new drive. So that's that's kind of like the fast recovery thing. Then in terms of other backups I've got a couple of little Western Digital NAS, just those cheap ones, those like Western Digital Home, whatever they call them, that I use for a couple of the computers in the house. My main computer here and my server are backed up onto a little Synology NAS, which is a great little thing. And then I've got everything going up to Backblaze as well. So fairly well covered.
Yeah, I do want to eventually replace the little Synology that I have, because I've basically have like 6 or 7 terabytes of data on there that is just like accumulated backups from miscellaneous stuff, and that's backed up to another disk partially, and then the backup cycle sort of broke, so yay. But the idea is I have this monster of a PC case that is just stupid big, but it has like 6 or 7 hard drive trays in there. So the idea is to, now that these bigger capacity disks are getting cheaper, I could get like a 14 or 15 or 16 terabyte drive for like 200, 250, something like that. So the idea is to get like 4 of those disks, have them mirrored, and just use that for a lot of my project and photo storage and stuff like that, because there's a scanning setup there. That little Mac Mini has hooked up to 2 film scanners for like home movies and home photos and stuff like that, because that's a project that I just keep spending more data on, so it has to go all somewhere. So.
I got a quick question for everybody. Does anybody do clones of their main operating disk? Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, because somebody had said that Big Sur, you could not clone it, blah, 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 with OpenCore. Yes, you can, because I proved it. I did it twice just so I could say I did it. In fact, I'm running this show on the clone drive right now, because I went from a 240 gigabyte to 1 terabyte SSD. So now I'm running full 1 terabyte on here.
Nice. I clone everything. I have one of those docks that you could just put loose hard drives in.
That's exactly what I have. Yep.
And I because there's a lot of storage inside the Mac Pro, I have several drives, and I just rotate them out a few times a week. I don't leave them connected because I have had run-ins with ransomware, mostly because I download it voluntarily and test it. But I don't leave my backups connected to the machine. So I have backup software that prompts me, hey, insert this hard drive, and it'll make a clone of my startup, my photos, and all that stuff. And they're on the shelf. Same goes for my wife's computer. And everything else goes right down to the basement, where a bunch of Mac Minis and an Xserve are with, I think the last count was 38 terabytes of disks connected to all of it that just handle all the backups and the backups of the backups.
Now, what is your strategy for deduping duplicate files? So, for example, you have a copy of an Unreal Tournament CD image or a Mac OS 10 installed image that is probably in 30 or 40 different spots across your systems.
I know what the answer to this is going to be.
Super duper.
Well, let's see if you're right. I use an app called Gemini, and I use that on the client machines to make sure there's no duplicates going into the backups. And then I use that same software on the servers to scan all, because I back up everything to disk images, not a one-on-one copy, just a disk image file.
Okay.
And I have it scan the disk images, and all the duplicates that it finds, I leave it alone, because once you start messing with those disk images, it messes up your backups. But then I know where to look for duplicates on multiple machines.
Yeah, I have not backed up to a disk image routinely for all of my systems. I do it for like 1 or 2, since I tried to do that with an iBook one year, and it just like it like I opened the disk image like a week later and just like failed. But oh, that's great.
Oh yeah,
sort of a bit wary.
You gotta do it the right way. If you do it with disk utility, it's guaranteed to fail. I trust nothing else except Carbon Copy Cloner. That's it.
Yeah.
Super Duper used to be good, but they kind of fell behind.
That's what I was using. I think it was Panther. I was using Super
Duper. In fact, on the OpenCore forum, they were saying that using Carbon Copy Cloner, it doesn't copy the EFI partition. So no, he says basically what happens, it'll copy the OS, no problem, but it will not copy OpenCore. So
no, it copies the recovery partition.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, you could make a manual So if you're doing with OpenCore, you have to figure out how to just copy your EFI partition.
Well, and that's the reason why I did the toaster clone, because it cloned it 1-for-1. So, there's no... Because, like I said, somebody in one of the forums in LEM said, or not LEM, OpenCore forum, our group, said that you couldn't do it. And I said, yeah, you can. And then he was saying something about, well, Big Sur, Apple's new encryption or whatever they're doing, the system integrity protection. They said that they're using the SSD serial numbers to inject that into the encryption algorithm or whatever. And so I disproved that theory too, because Big Sur is running fine on this system without, with just a clone.
Yeah, they're not as sophisticated as they sound in their white papers. You can get away with a lot of things that Apple says you can't get away with. But Bruce, before I ask you what you thought I was going to say, I should mention that I, on purpose, keep terabytes of duplicate data because even though I don't use Time Machine, I do keep older versions of certain documents or folders or drives. So there is, I think, five previous versions is what I keep before it starts purging the old versions out. But I don't really count those as duplicates.
So before I do say what I thought Joe was going to say, I just wanted to mention that I am actually using Super Duper, not Super Duper, as for my cloning. And it works fine for me. It does get regular updates. I haven't had any issues with it. I am perfectly happy to accept that Carbon Copy Cloner is, sort of the better product these days. But I still haven't had any problems. I've never had any problems with Super Duper. So just want to mention
it's good
that.
software. Good software.
Yeah. And I thought you were going to say you did nothing about duplicates, just based on how many hard drives and how much data you handle. So when
yeah,
you
but
came
the
in and
problem
said
is
you
they're
use
all
software for it.
They're all mostly full, so I have to get rid of duplicates.
Well, especially Jay, since you do also Blu-ray burning, don't you?
Yes, I do hard copy backups on Blu-ray.
How often do you do that?
I got 500 discs ready to back up, so
but
I'm not worried about that.
How often do you do that, though?
It depends. I keep burn folders of 25 and 50 gigs on a separate hard drive, and I dump on there whatever I want to back up. As soon as I reach the target of 25 or 50 gigs, I burn a disk. So maybe once every 2 weeks right now.
Yeah.
So mostly photos and work files, stuff like that.
Well, I just found that I bought a Gemini license as part of one of these Mac bundle software things back in 2013. And it is so old that it identifies it's a serial number, but my email is not tied to it. So that's going to be fun to find.
And I should also mention what a few of the guys have said, and I forgot the name. Backblaze is awesome. Because I trust my own setup, but I do not trust hard drives. Even if they're brand new, they can fail tomorrow, and even if I have a backup of a backup of a backup, if my house gets struck by lightning, I'm screwed all the way. So I still do Backblaze to keep it offline.
Jay, what's your rule of thumb? 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Want to explain
3.
that
How'd it go again? I forgot how it went.
You're the one who came up with it, yeah.
I didn't come up with it.
No,
but you explained it.
I explained it, but that was a while ago. 3 copies of your data, 2 different locations, and 1 pepperoni pizza. I don't know.
I can go for that.
Damn it! Now I have to look it up.
1 password for everything.
Yeah, 1 password. Well, there's an app called 1Password that I use.
Okay, hold on. I got it. 3 copies of your data, 2 local copies on different storage types, and 1 backup offsite. And I wrote that in 2017, so excuse me for not remembering. Okay?
Hey, we expect you to remember everything you wrote, man.
I just had a lasagna this big right before the show started. I'm about to fall asleep. Not the sharpest right now. But yeah, I do not take a lot of things seriously. I do not do the dishes when my wife asks me. I do not clean my office when I say that I will. And I do not clean the litter boxes on time. But I am religious about my backups. That's the only thing in this house that is perfectly in order.
Anybody else got anything to add on backups?
Just that always remember that the moment you let your guard down, that's when you're going to get failures. You know,
That's always how it happens.
Don't look into a backup solution tomorrow. Look into a backup solution now.
Yeah. And these drives are so cheap these days. I mean, you get a few terabytes for under, $100, $200. I mean, start somewhere. Don't worry about backing up everything. Just get the important stuff off to somewhere, because you lose it, then you go crazy. So.
And don't trust the cloud. The cloud is just someone else's computer. Just because they have more hard drives or bigger server racks, they can still lose your stuff.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic of the evening. And hopefully Fog Wraith's in here.
Nah, he's sleeping.
Is he sleeping?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we got some love for System 7. I'm going to let Steve and Bruce talk about this because I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, so System 7 is a excellent website. So if you have never heard of this, I remember going to it on my Mac Classic. I remember visiting on it years ago. I'm going to put a link in the chat here. There we go. So System 7 Today is a website that's all about, obviously, System 7. And the idea is to promote the use of Mac OS System 7 as like the OS for classic Macs. Because you could go 6, you could go 8, etc. But the argument that they make is for PowerPC systems of a certain age, if it's a pre-G3 system, they say that System 7 is the way to go. Obviously, there are a lot of arguments for and against that, depending on who you are, what you want to run, etc. But they have some great tools. There used to be an excellent forum. Currently, the forum is in a maintenance mode, so it's archived. But I hear rumors that maybe that might start up again. But essentially, what is on the site now is there's a bunch of updates. There's a bunch of drivers for stuff like ATI video cards and stuff like that. Game demos. There's a bunch of guides about like networking and compatibility and stuff like that. So it's really a great site if you are new to classic Macs and you're trying to do something. That's where I learned a bunch of my stuff. I could probably search my old username in the forum and see a bunch of embarrassing questions I ask people. But there's everything from, network transfer stuff to how do you burn a CD and get it to open on System 7, etc. Just a lot of information that's very helpful. And so from what I understand, the lovely folks at Macintosh Garden are now going to be maintaining System 7 Today, and I'm sure they have some excellent things planned, but I'm sure they'll make their announcements as they come. But it's very good to see that site remaining. It didn't go anywhere, but it was just kind of drifting out there. So it's nice to know that a community that we all are near and dear with, is actually going to be prolonging that, which is great, because a lot of these sites just disappear off the face of the earth, and when they're gone, you realize, there was no backup of that, or I wanted to grab that one file, or wasn't there that message on that forum that I bookmarked that no longer goes anywhere? So just a really invaluable website. And so anybody who has any interest in classic Macs, go there.
That's a terribly frustrating thing when you are trying to find stuff with vintage Macs and you jump onto a forum and you say, how can I deal with this problem? And someone says, there's a solution right here, and they put a link to something. They don't write what the solution is. They just put a link to the solution, and then that website's gone. And so you click it and you think, curses. But I would basically agree with the idea that with the System 7 sort of works so well on so many different computers. Even if you're talking about like a Mac Plus, 7.0 will run quite well on that, and then up to your 7.6 or 7.5. On 7.5.3 is generally sort of recommended as the better one, and you can do a lot on that on a vintage Mac. It really opens up the range of software that you can use. So it's a great resource.
Yeah, and it's one of those also, to piggyback on what Bruce was saying, is when someone in one of these vintage forums links to something, that's one thing. But what I always hate is when someone posts like a question. It's like, oh, I'm having this very weird issue. And then, no, I got it fixed. Well, how'd you fix it?
Yeah.
Those are the types of issues.
Damn you.
Those are the types of issues I search for, and I find that post. I'm getting all excited. I'm like, oh, this guy's the exact same problem I have. I'm scrolling down. The guy's like, fixed it, and then there's like 50 posts of the guy of other people being like, what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do?
I never see that every day on Facebook. People are asking whether it's about a Mac or 3D printing or whatever group I'm in, and there's a thread of 50 comments, and everybody's trying to help figure it out. And then the last comment is like, "Oh, I figured it out. Thanks, guys." How did you do it?
Yeah, because there's like 20 different. There's 20 different solutions. It's like, which solution works?
I know.
Yes. I mean, I know this becomes like a forum etiquette type thing, but of course my favourite one is when someone asks a question on how something is done, and people reply with, "Why would you want to do that?"
Oh, I hate that. It's like, shut up and answer the damn question.
Yeah, or say nothing.
That is like the definition of like those Linux forums or like GitHub or anything where a lot of these very technically smart-minded people are congregating, and you'll just get the answers of like that make no effort to help with the conversation or the question at hand. It drives me bonkers.
That's why I stay away from GitHub. Sometimes I end up on a GitHub page for a piece of software that I want to try, and you can tell, like, this dude has really tried to put a lot of effort into the README file. He explains everything so that someone with an IQ of 7,000 gets it, but not me. They never put it. They never have like a full dummies version on GitHub.
Yeah, if you're familiar with this command already, then follow these instructions.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if I'm not? What is oh, by the way, that's deprecated.
And what you said, Bruce, the links to. I run into that a lot with old Apple URLs, the knowledge base URLs. They used to run everything on their own WebKit. Web object servers.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that is gone. The Wayback Machine couldn't index it. It's all gone, and it's infuriating because they used to have some good stuff.
The big FTP that they had is gone as well, isn't it? Where you used to just get old copies of everything that they had ever
That is
released.
archived, thankfully.
Is it?
So there is a full archive on archive.org, and what's great about it is you don't have to download the whole thing. You could view preview or whatever, and it gives you all the links. You could download the individual files. I still use that to this day because there are some copies, whether it's on all these other sites that have these files. Sometimes they're incorrect or they've been their resource fork is gone or something like that. So it's good to have those.
Like I wish there was such a backup of, not that it's a different situation, but I used to love browsing version tracker. Every day,
I knew version
multiple
tracker.
times a day. Yeah, like,
my heart.
What's new?
Yep.
Let's see. I think it goes to download.com now.
Yeah. See, so those sites are invaluable. I'm sure, and I'm absolutely sure that there are patches and updates and fixes and drivers that are just gone off the face of the earth when sites like that go down.
Yeah. Oh,
that's some really cool utilities from that website.
Yeah.
Now
I'm sad.
I'd pull it up on Wayback Machine, but of course Wayback Machine is down again.
It's fine for me,
right? All right, so
what are you typing in there, Jay? I'm looking at it right now.
Well, every time I do a search, it gives me an error instead of showing all the snapshots.
Oh. Okay. Interesting.
All right, Steve. So you're up next again, but Steve has been pretty busy. So what have you been up to there, Steve?
Oh, I don't know. Toiling away in the basement, trying to fix things people send me. And this whole YouTube thing. All that fun stuff. But what I've gotten myself into is once in a while I will come into a repair. And the capacitors or whatever, there'll be a list of them. But as I explained on a recent live stream, it's very, very difficult. Oh, wait, that's not there. That's downstairs, so I can't pull it up. It's very difficult to try and find the exact capacitors that you need to replace something. So Bruce has an excellent website, recapofmac.com, which lists the capacitors that you need to replace something, etc. Now, Bruce has a list of the things that he's touched, that he's repaired. But if you have something that's slightly different, which there's many different manufacturers of power supplies, for example, Aztec, TDK, Sony, etc., you will come up with variants. And so Bruce's guide may not be applicable to your particular device. And so not only do you need to know the capacitors, the value and the voltage of what you're going to be replacing, you need to know the size, because obviously it has to fit in a certain box and it has to be comparable. A little bit larger or smaller is okay, but it has to be within a range, obviously. So what I've started doing with some of the weirder things that have been out there that I couldn't really find a reliable guide on is I made my own. So I'm going to link to the guides section of my website. Let me just copy the URL here so we have no mishaps. And this is just a redirect here. But that will go... there you go. That will go to a list of guides I have on my site. It's not as fancy as Bruce's website by any stretch of the imagination. But it should eventually redirect. Of course, now it's not doing it on my end, so who knows what the heck is going on. But does that link work for anybody else?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay, cool. So essentially, there's a list of guides there. So the two that I did recently was for a Macintosh LC power supply. That's the Aztec power supply, not the one that Bruce had on his site. A little bit different. And so I opened the thing up. I took a photo of it, and I made a little guide, and I'll post a link to that because it has pretty colors and everything. And what's nice about this is anybody who can click on that guide, there's the list of capacitors, and I just have to put the Mauser URLs in there. The manufacturer part number is already there. I just have to link in the Mauser URLs in the Mauser cart, so I'll be doing that soon. But essentially, you do have a list of all the capacitors and all that fun stuff. And then I did the same thing for the Macintosh PowerBook 160 that Mike gave me, because Mike asked me to fix it up for him. So that was the one I did the stream of just a little while ago. And there's a recap.
Sorry to interrupt, but is that the Mac where you fixed the screen up?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Did everybody see that?
I just put a link in the chat.
That
there's a photo of it on the
good.
I was
so sharp
surprised.
afterwards. That's what I call a rewarding repair.
That was very rewarding. What's not rewarding is putting the darn PowerBook back together.
No, you stick it all in a bag and send it back to Mike.
Here you go, pick it up. Here's yours.
It's not.
Hey, Steve, I have an Aztec, and it's nothing like your guide. Someone says in the comments.
That's nice.
Well, take it apart, take pictures.
Yeah, send me a photo, take pictures. So the part I was going to mention is they made very many different types of revisions and things like that. So if there is one, obviously on the sticker there that you see that I put the photo of for the LC power supply, the Aztec one, it says model and there's a little model number. Yours may be different. So the only real way, unless you want to take a chance, is get one of those calipers, those little measuring thingies, and just start measuring the caps. Exactly what Bruce has there. And
I put mine back on the wall.
You measure the height of it, you measure the diameter of it, and you measure the pitch. That's the spacing between the leads on the bottom, and that's how you figure out if those caps will fit in there. It's a little more difficult to find some of that information on the cap website, like Mauser.com hides some of that in a weird way, but you can do some sleuth work and try and get that to work. The only other thing I'll mention is go.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Steve. Just on that, whether I buy from this company or not depends on a lot of things. But RS Components, who I do buy from quite regularly, their filtering is, in my opinion, 1,000 times better than Mauser and DigiKey.
Yeah.
So
don't do your comparison. Don't do it.
Why not?
The last few times you said this, you brought up some vintage software, Apple software websites that one does a good search, one does not, but don't do it.
Yep. Well, I'm just saying, if anyone out there is looking for particular types of caps, if you go into the RS components, it will allow you to filter out what you want quite easily, and then you can get the product number, you can get the manufacturer product code, and you can buy it from wherever you want.
Yeah. So that's why I with the capacitors I list, I not only put the URL to Mauser, but I put the manufacturer part number. So it doesn't matter if you want to buy it from Mauser or not. At least the part number is there. You can find a comparable one, and you have to do some research on your own, obviously, to find out if the capacitor is going to be long life lasting and all this good stuff. Don't buy the cheaper ones.
There's obviously temperature. Making sure that it's rated to the correct temperature. So if your original they're generally in like 85 degrees Celsius or 105 degrees Celsius, no problem with putting a higher rating one in there. Then yes, the lifetime, how many thousands of hours, obviously the more hours the better. And then the only other thing is they have ESR, which is the resistance, and generally the lower the better for those. And you stick with good brands. Stick with, Panasonic, with what's it called, Nichicon, those the sort of well-known name brands of capacitors. So
yeah,
and you get what you pay for. If it's dirt cheap capacitor, it's probably rubbish.
And there's usually a pretty steep discount too on buying multiples. So buying one capacitor might be 80 cents, but if you buy 10 of them, they're like 40 cents each. So it pays to just stack everything together in an order, eat the $10 shipping charge or whatever it is, and then you'll have plenty of things.
Yeah, the shipping for Mauser is stupid.
Yeah, don't do what I did this week and order 3 different times from Mauser, so I'm out like an extra $20 I didn't have to spend, all because I kept ordering the wrong reefer caps or the wrong this or the wrong that. So learn from my mistake. But anyway, yeah, I made some fancy guides there. Information is on there. As is. If I screwed up, sorry, but I made an effort. So there you go.
And I want to make a statement, or share my opinion. Now, we have Bruce's website that has recapping guides. Steve is making recapping guides. There's probably going to be some overlap. And that is great, because I think if 10 more people have websites with recapping guides and all this stuff, you're going to have a lot of overlap, a lot of duplicate information out there. But that's a good thing, because if we would have had that 15 or 20 years ago, we'd be able to find stuff today. So the more we have, I'm not saying start ripping each other off, but the more we have of this content, the better. Because Bruce's web server might go offline, and before he can get it back up, he gets bitten by a giant tarantula, and he's gone. That's Recap-A-Mac gone. And then
what are you planning there, Jay?
I'm planning to never visit Australia. Never.
It's just nature.
But yeah, the more servers it's on, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I should actually mention that when I actually started doing Recap, the motivation wasn't really as such about putting recapping guides up there. That was obviously the relevant thing to do. But it was actually more about putting high-resolution photos of the boards up there. What I found was whenever I was searching for, a 2CI logic board, and there were just awful photos, really bad photos. So I always try and take mine with really good lighting. I spend a lot of time. I take lots and lots and lots of photos, make sure that everything is steady, everything is square, make sure that you can read the screen printing on the board, so you can get it, even in some instances, even read the writing on the chips. And so that was the main motivation behind the website, getting those really good quality, high-res images up on the website, and then, of course, just sort of put recapping guides on them as well.
Yeah, and that's and you take much better photos than I do, because the photos on my site are it's a picture and it's there.
Pick up your game.
Exactly.
Because that's one of the things that one of you or both of you, or I don't even know, a few shows ago we talked about old web content, and when you finally find what you're looking for, it turns out to be 160 by 120 resolution, and it's useless.
Oh, that's fine.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't make a guide that does not need to be made. If Bruce has a guide, that's fine. I don't need to redo that because the guide works. It's functional. But if there's something that there's not a guide for, like an oddball power supply or just the US version of the international version that I have that Bruce does not have, that's why I make a guide. And if I'm going to repair it, if I'm going to go through the turmoil of measuring the capacitors, finding out which ones fit and ordering them and trying it out for myself, I might as well put the guide together, because it's not going to be the last time I do that.
Yep.
Dana, why are you falling asleep?
I don't know.
He needs to touch some capacitors.
I think I just saved you from slamming your head against the desk.
I went and got some fruit juice, and I'm waiting for it to help.
I'll stop talking. There you go.
All right, guys. So is that all, Steve? Are you ready to...
I think if I talk any longer, people will throw things at me, so I'll stop.
All righty. All right, so we're going to move on to our next topic, and this is one I threw in today because we had a little issue on our Discord. We do invite people to come on our Discord, but we do actually have some rules. And if you notice, when you come and join us for the first time, you only can see the rules. So, and you have to read them, and then you have to type a word to agree to it. And, you know, if you don't, then you don't get the rest of the channels. However, certain channels on the Discord server are not meant to be for chatting, you know, or making it your own chat server. Particularly the buy, sell, and trade groups and the trade only. Those are basically there. It's almost like a bulletin board for people to post what they want to sell and stuff. If people start chatting there, it starts pushing that stuff up to the top and it gets lost. So we have asked, and I've pinned it up there on the, I put a pin post on there many times saying don't chat in here, and people still do it. So I wrote a little thing in there, and I said, this is the last straw. If anybody does it, they're going into timeout. Okay? And I got some feedback from that, but I basically said, if you had been here for a while, I have had to clean up the buy, sell, and trade group about 15 times, and it's just getting tiring to do it. Now, I even put the slow mode on in those to discourage that, and it still didn't discourage it. So apparently people still want to chat in there. The point is, in the buy, sell, and trade comment sections, if you want to buy something or if you want to talk to somebody about it, go to PMs or go to the general chat and talk about it. But don't do it in that particular group, because that's basically, we just want to put what people want to sell or buy. That's it. That's my little rant on it. Now I'll let anybody else jump in here if they want.
No, it pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do the right thing or you upset GT.
Exactly.
Speaking of being off topic, Bruce, have you ever seen 4 reefer capacitors inside of a LC power supply? Holy crap.
No.
Jeez.
No, I have not.
This is scary. Never mind.
I haven't seen any reefer caps in an LC power supply. What?
I got to send you a message. Because our friend in the chat here, who sent me the photos of the Aztec MacBoy 91 SI, there's some interesting looking capacitors in the top left corner of the picture I just sent. So they look like reefers to me. I could be wrong.
Hurry.
Where? What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they are.
Yeah.
Get back on topic here a little bit, but one of the things I forgot to mention too is in our rules, and it's one of the rules basically says, please use your own name. Now, we actually give a lot of leeway on this. I mean, there's a lot of leeway we give, so don't think that we're just the iron fist on the Discord server, because one of the rules is please use your real name. And we've had people not use their real name in there, so if you could, just put it in parentheses, your first name. That's all we ask. But we don't care if you don't. I mean, we're not going to be like, we're going to kick you off because you're not using your real name. However, if you use somebody
it's
like...
just to help each other out, because some usernames are unpronounceable, and I'm not going to spend 10 minutes trying to type it in whatever weird font you used. So it's just to be helpful.
Yeah, you could call yourself King of the Mountain 8523XO and a bunch of Japanese characters. I don't care. But if I'm referring to you in the chat or we're talking about something, just put a name that somebody can pronounce, even if it's a nickname. Who cares?
Or don't use somebody's famous name. Like, should we mention this one person? I will, because
you mean the one, Jim Carrey.
The one person that I tried to say that it's silly, and everyone's like, "Nah, it's fine."
Yeah. I mean, you can change it for each server. You don't have to have that name on every server. You can change it and just put in parentheses, That's all we ask. But we're not going to police that up too much, but we will police those other groups up. Guaranteed.
Hey, GT, check the buy and sell channel. We have a second.
Let me see what Jay has put up there. Hey, guess what I just could do?
Screenshot.
Delete.
Did you delete it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he deleted it.
Damn it.
I took a screenshot.
Censorship.
Jay's being censored. Sound the alarms.
All right. Well, the mods are the only ones that are not restricted to the rule as far as the 10-minute rule. We can actually post as many times as we want in that one, but you know.
Are you saying we live outside the law?
Yeah.
We are the law.
All right, guys. Let's set an example in that.
You started it, GT.
Yeah.
I could put you in timeout too, there, Grudy. All right. Anyways, that's all I have to say on that. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic.
Speaking of power tripping and being drunk on power, Madeline is a moderator now in the YouTube live chat. So don't piss her off. She's scary. She's scary when she's angry.
She'll hit you with an Apple III.
Yeah.
Those suckers are heavy.
Oh, mention else what Madeline's doing there, Jay.
Yeah, I can. Why is my camera off?
I don't know why it's off.
No, you turned it off.
There you go. Because we have a website. We don't use it much, but once in a while we do. And for the most part, I manage that website. That is to say, I pretty much stopped managing the website about 2 months ago, and I just haven't had. Oh, screw you! I've updated it. Yeah, it just got way too busy with other stuff, and Madeline was kind enough to offer Reed. She kicked my ass and say I need to do a better job, or else. She offered to take over the management of the website. I don't know what she has planned for it. I don't know. I'm being cut out of the entire decision-making process. Gave her name and password, and have at it. But yeah, I don't know what the plans are for the website. That is, for the most part, up to Madeline. But you might be able to see some more frequent updates. So, including the photos and stories from the PowerPC challenge of 3 weeks ago. Hopefully. Oh, she has plans, she says. I don't know if I should be scared or excited.
She's going to turn one of those Apple IIIs into a web server?
Ooh.
Maybe.
It might work. You never know.
You wire 3 of them together, you might be able to do it.
Hey,
Congrats
Mr. H.
on the new job.
Well, Mr. H says he thinks some of the guides should be consolidated to the Mac Yak website from Bruce and Steve.
Yeah.
I offered that, but they both want obscene amounts of money to get their content, so no.
What we could do, though,
put
links. Yeah, we could put links, or they could
put
write,
links.
or
Yeah, but
they
then
could.
you end up in that scenario what Bruce said. Like 20 years from now, someone goes to the Mac Yak website that somehow someone is still paying for. I doubt it. But they find a link to Steve's website, and that link goes to nothing.
Let's be honest here. I am too lazy to redo my website, so it's going to just stay the way it is for the foreseeable future.
You know what's funny about that is I have a ham radio website that I made almost 20 years ago, and it's still there because it's hosted on this one free site that this ham radio guy did, and it's still there, and you can still go to it. And I have not touched it in probably 15 years or so. So, but
What's the link to it?
I think here I'll type it in the chat. I think it's still there.
Ham on rye.
Right.
Ham or spam on rye?
I think that's the link right there. So try that.
I'm waiting for it to pop up on my end.
There we go.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I updated it in May of 2009. That's
Neat.
that was the last update.
My Angel Fire page is still up too.
Pictures
so I don't think
coming
you have to worry
soon,
about my
it
stuff
says.
going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I never did put them up.
How
so.
soon is soon?
Well, that was
what I have, because over the years, I've run into a lot of websites, like all the stuff we mentioned before, where the links don't work, or the content has changed, or the resolution sucks. I have millions, not exaggerated, probably millions of PDFs. Because when I find good content on a website now, I save it as a PDF so that I have it.
I save it both. I save it as a PDF and as a web archive.
Yeah, I used to do that, but Firefox isn't too good with web archives. And thanks to a tip from Bruce, I've been using Opera for a while, the browser, but it does indeed have a really good PDF save option built in.
Yeah, like I said,
and if you want the recapping guides, if you want them in a safe space, just go to their websites, save everything as a PDF. Don't forget to, if it's still online by the time you need it, go back to the source to see if some changes have been made, links have been updated, whatever. But that's one way to ensure that you always have that information. Just save it as a PDF or a web archive.
And Burrow Cakes, it's funny, Burrow Cakes is asking for my call sign. If you click the link, my call sign's right there. But here, I'll type it in the chat, my call sign.
His radio is going to be spamming up right now.
Yeah. So, anyways, but that's my, what was that, 12 years ago as the last update I made to that site. So, yeah, I was pretty close when I said it was 15 years, I think. So,
I'll wait to see those pictures.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting a long time because I don't even remember the password to log in there to get the
So you should be really worried about GT's content, not ours, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here, and I'm going to throw it over to Jay. So, Jay, take it away.
Wait, what? What topic?
It's about the backdrops.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, wow. I just saw the picture. Cool. Yeah. So the backdrop we were using last week and using this week because I was too lazy to make something else, and I was busy eating lasagna. This backdrop is one that my kid made. And then after the show last week, we had an idea. It's like, why don't we open it up to the public and just put a template online, and people can start making their own backdrops, and if we like it, then we just feature it on the show. Yeah. So I think everybody was on board with that. So I will be putting that together in the next few days. And then if you want to create something, have at it. Send it to one of us. And we'll see if we can use it in the show.
We could probably do it on Discord, too, and just have them upload it there. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if as long as the
permissions are allowed,
that too. Yeah. So I think that would be fun. People that want to contribute can do so, and it's less work for me.
Well, the only thing you'd have to do is put the holes in it, so the number of people we actually have on the show that night.
I'll leave that up to people.
Well, they'd have to make at least 5, 6, or 7.
It'll all be on the website.
Depending on our if we have guests too. So
Yeah, I'll put it all on the website, but it will be fun. I think see what people come up with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
That's it. All right.
That's it.
So now we're going to move on to what were they. We got 2 things for what were they smoking tonight. So the first one is this ridiculous priced Mac Pro. What in the world?
That's a fair price. Come on.
Really?
It's obviously an upside down prototype.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it is upside down. I just now noticed that.
I found that one. That's about 20 minutes from my house.
You should go get it.
I will not be getting it.
I wonder why.
You know what's funny is too. There was another Mac Pro, like 2 rows down from this one, had almost the same specs. I don't think it has. What was this? How much RAM does it say? 96. Okay, the other one had 128 megs of RAM, but it did not have the Thunderbolt card, and he priced it at $900. And I was like, ooh, but no, I don't need it.
Oh yeah, Ed goes. It's the price because of the OWC hard drive caddies.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Oh, but Yeah, I think that's the new price when it was new.
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty close.
So we're saying that this Mac Pro has not lost any value ever.
But all
I'm
the
sitting on a
upgrades.
damn
It does have
gold
a
mine.
number of nice upgrades, and it is worth probably. It might be. I mean, to the right person, it could be worth about $1,500-$1,600, but not $2,300. No way.
Well, I mean the upgrades. I mean, I got to look at the other picture.
They're nice
here.
upgrades.
I don't know about that.
They just went on eBay and
okay.
looked up individual parts and just went with the maximum price they could find for each
All right,
part.
we're looking at the 580 graphics card. You can get one of those for about $150 sometimes.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 Intel Xeons. That's about $120 right there. The 5690s. Let's see. It comes with original CPUs. Who cares about that? 96 gigabytes of RAM. Now, that's a pretty good amount of RAM. So that, I would probably say, is about $300 roughly in RAM.
Your math is making me sleepy.
But the
It's not going to add up to $2,300.
I know. I know. I'm just trying to say what it's going to really add up to.
The most expensive component there is the Thunderbolt card.
Well,
the really important thing to remember whenever anything's being sold secondhand, and because we find this with cars all the time when people are doing restoration and they talk about all the money they've spent on the paint job or on the engine or whatever, it means nothing. At the end of the day, $2,300. If you had $2,300 that can walk into an Apple store today, what can you buy brand new? That's what you're competing with. You're competing with a brand new with warranty computer.
Yep.
You'd be able to get a good spec one for $2,300 too. So it's all very well to look at this and say, oh, look at all these upgrades, spend all this money. It's like you just can't look at it like that. You have to be in the mind of the buyer who has $2,300 to spend, and your computer, this old computer, is not going to get a look in.
Yeah. To be honest, if you walk into an Apple store today with $2,300, all you could probably get is an Apple Watch with a fancy band because the prices are ridiculous. But I
get a Mac Mini or two.
Nah, I'll spend that money on developer kit.
Well, Grudy will at least. But
so what was he smoking?
Oh God, I think he was smoking those damn OWC trays there.
I was about to say that.
Melting them down.
This was the same day that I found the ad for a guy in Canton was selling his Mac Pro, and it said this has had the Pixeless mod done by House of Moth.
Yeah.
Jay's famous.
Jay is famous.
I made it now.
He made it on Craigslist.
Got all that street cred.
Jay is posting
It's
it
a start. I got a Mac Pro sale coming up soon, by the way, of a past client of mine. He sent me his Mac Pro. It kept shutting down. I spent about 2 weeks. I spent a week testing it, and I used it as my own machine for a week. Could find nothing wrong with it. Shipped it back. He started putting all his PCI cards back in and all his stuff, and it started acting up again. I said, dude, obviously it's something that you're putting in there. Long story short, he doesn't think it's true. That's true. So he's going to sell it. So he's going to sell it as not functional because it has issues, which I know for a fact it doesn't. So once I see the sale pop up anywhere, I'll put a link to it in Discord because it's going to probably be hella cheap.
And Jay is providing a warranty.
Yes,
2 days.
It is definitely providing a warranty.
48-hour warranty.
Just take all his PCI cards out and use your own.
Man, I will vouch for that machine. The backplane board, the CPU tray, everything that's stock is 100%. But whatever he's putting in there, it's just messing it up.
And that could be
some kind of driver glitch.
Mm-hmm. I bet you he's putting an NVIDIA card in there trying to run Catalina on it.
I don't know.
Which it won't work. So, I mean, I don't know. All right, so the next, what were they smoking we had tonight? This one's a doozy here. What in the heck? What is 499 euros?
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, so
This came been around for a while.
That thing had to be submerged.
This came from a Facebook group. It's a private group. You could request to join it. It's called Exceedingly Overpriced Vintage Electronics for Sale.
I'm in that group. I'm in that group too.
It is a fantastic group if you just want to laugh, because it is ridiculous. I mean, look at this thing. I'm the one that found this, and I was just laughing myself silly because it looks like somebody just took like rust particles and just sandblasted it all over the screen.
Well, no, I think they put this at the bottom of a damn lake for about 10 years.
That's probably where they found it. Yeah.
It was in a time capsule that flooded or in the water.
A sewage treatment plant, take your pick.
Yeah.
But, for 400...
I thought it was fake. I thought someone just modeled this
almost
from
looks
clay or
fake,
something.
yeah.
It does look fake.
But it's real.
I'd love to restore it. I'm not paying $500.
Wait, is that actually a...
Even if it's not real, they still want $500 for it.
Well, here's the question. Is that a painting of it?
No.
Is that real? Because it looks like look at the background.
Okay,
No,
the background,
it's
is
real.
a carpet.
Is that a...
It's a green shag carpet.
Wow, who has green shag carpet like that?
Rudy knows
This guy.
Europeans.
Oh, man.
This obviously they were smoking whatever was used to
make-
build that carpet.
Or they were smoking the stuff that was, crusted onto that.
Stuff you can scrape off of it.
Yeah.
Delicious. Selling scrapings for only a few euros each.
Yeah, I don't think, Jay, I know you took one that had been out in the weather and made a Mac Pro side look, make it look almost new again. This is something I don't think you could even get back.
I could.
Sure about
Everybody
that?
chip in, I'll prove you wrong.
I don't think that LCD is
Make it
probably
offer.
going to work.
I think the only thing that's going to be okay is the trackball.
The space bar.
Yeah.
The space bar. An inner brass screw that has not seen the light of day.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the logic board inside of that thing? You open it up and
those
parts
things are
just
built.
fall off.
Nah, those things are built pretty well. I mean, ask anyone that's taken them apart.
But-
it takes a lot for anything to get through all those layers of plastic and tape, and
That's true.
I don't
the
know.
inside might be all right.
But if this thing has been
I don't
underwater
think
for
so.
a while,
Yeah, there's quite a lot of space in these PowerBooks. I just took apart the 160. If this, I know the 100 was designed by Sony, but if it's anything like the 160, there's a little bit of space between the keyboard and the battery compartment. And this, not a lot, but you can fit a screwdriver in there. Water could find its way in there.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, if we're assuming water, but somehow this doesn't look like water damage. to
this looks like it was at the bottom of a lake.
So there's people in the chat saying it looks like it was painted.
That's what I think.
I opened the high res image and I zoomed in on it, and it is, if it's paint, it is the grainiest, sandiest looking paint I've ever seen. It's like between the keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
This
probably
thing,
some
this
kind of
thing this is corrosion from being submerged in water.
Yeah,
And
Titanic.
so about 30 years ago, some business guy was walking and he just lost a sail. He's like, and he just chucked it.
You know what this was? This was a guy that had a time machine that was actually, he time machined to the Titanic, and he went down with the Titanic, with the time machine and that. And they found that.
Okay, what
That's
have you
what
been
it is.
smoking, GT?
You feeling all right there, bud?
That would be.
Yeah.
He
that
time
would explain it,
machined.
though.
Yeah.
He time
It's now a
machined
verb. He time machined
I
back
time
in
machined
time.
into the machine.
He time traveled. But
Oh boy.
hey, we're getting weird on this one now. So
Got time to start
Yeah.
wrapping it up, huh, GT?
Yeah.
just about, yeah. So, all right. So that's it. So what was this guy smoking again? The
Rust.
scrapings.
Whatever you smoke when you decide to buy one of those carpets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be.
That color too.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right, guys. So we're almost to the end of the show tonight. So we're going to do some shameless self promotions. Anybody got anything going on they want to talk about?
I'm going to clean my office.
You say that every week.
Sure.
I'm really going to do it now.
You say that every week.
I know.
I haven't had time to do anything, so don't expect anything for a while.
Mike, you've been quiet back there. Is he
Yeah,
asleep?
I think he's sleeping.
He's
I'm going to go
moving.
pick up a bunch of crap for Steve.
Fine.
He may or may not get it. It depends on what kind of crap it is.
I'm being.
I'm the one that's driving an hour out of my way for nothing to go pick this crap up. So
I'm being
I've been
intentionally
told there's a
vague.
PowerBook 500 series in there with some questionable usability.
Yeah, I told you if we could fix it
So
up.
I might play with some Mac crap on Sunday.
He's gonna come to my house with an empty box, being here's the stuff I got for you.
No, I'll bring you the CRT. That's given.
He's gonna be like, "What do you got for me?"
I ain't carrying that thing upstairs.
I've been intentionally vague about what Mike is picking up because I know if he knows when it's there, he's gonna grab some of the stuff.
Well, dude, what do you expect me to freaking haul your crap around the back of my car, not knowing what it is?
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm gonna take an inventory.
Wonderful.
No trust here. Zero.
You could keep one of the dial-up modems.
Ooh, yay! That'll be useless.
Speaking of dial-up, sorry.
I wonder if I could use that on my cell phone.
There you go.
I want to do a quick plug for Colin Mister, aka DOSDude1.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the details, but if you go to Low End Mac, he's done a few posts about it. He set up a
His own,
dial-up
yep.
ISP. I think it accepts up to 8 people, but it's pretty cool. Pretty cool project. You
I
should
had a
check it out.
landline. I'd try it out.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I don't think anybody. Does anybody have a landline anymore?
I mean, plenty of people do.
Of course, I have a landline, but I don't ever answer.
I think I think I have one that was bundled with my Verizon stuff, but I don't have anything hooked up to it, so I don't even know.
Actually, I do. I picked up a VoIP box from a thrift store, and when I plugged it in, it automatically got a phone number that occasionally rings. So maybe I'll try it through that.
Ooh.
Occasionally rings.
It's like pre-registered. I've tried hard rebooting the thing, updating the firmware. It just auto assigns a phone number that someone's paying the bill for, apparently. So.
Well, it's probably you.
No, I told you I got it from a thrift store.
Oh, so it's probably programmed from whatever.
Turn that sucker on.
Yeah,
I
make
did
a
it.
video
It
on
kept
it.
ringing.
What's the old number to get the phone number that it's supposed to be? It's *69 or whatever.
I did that, and I know what the phone number is, and it matches the town where I picked up the thing for the thrift store. So that's all I know.
funny.
I actually got to the voicemail prompt. I was trying to, listen to the voicemails, but I locked myself out because I didn't know the password.
Oh, you're a sneaky person.
It wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4.
What movie was that? Spaceballs. The number,
It's the same
combination.
exact combination of my luggage.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5,
Movies.
6.
Was it 5, 6?
Yep.
I thought it was only 4 numbers.
That was 5.
Oh, it's 5. Yeah, you're right. 5.
Something like
Phew, glad we got that sorted.
Yeah. Hey, we always get
I
sidetracked here at
watched
Mac
the
Yak.
other day.
Anyone else got self-promotion
Yeah,
going on?
I got a logic board that has some glue on it that the owner has given me full
Okay.
go-ahead to start tinkering around with it. So
Oh, that one. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that was.
So you'll be
that was
streaming after
Shaw
Mac
or
Yak?
someone.
sure,
Mhm.
all right.
Awesome.
So
That's what we want.
start
I need
whenever you guys
streams to
stop.
What about the PowerBook 165? Are you going to attempt that?
When I have 2 hours to spare, sure.
Okay.
I timed
I'm
it.
just
That's how
asking.
long
I
it
don't
took.
care.
That's
I
the
told
bare minimum of your live streams.
You already made Jay happy, so it doesn't really matter.
No, I will get to that. What I want to do, Mike, is probably take apart that one as I'm putting the other one together, so I know where all the pieces are going. So I want to do that with sound mind.
God.
That'll never happen then.
Do I need to come over and put my own laptop back together?
Sure. That's what I'm holding ransom for you to get those goodies here.
Ah. See how things work
I
between.
didn't care about the 160. It was the 165 I wanted.
You see,
That's what I'm
guys.
holding hostage.
You see, guys, how things work between Steve and Mike.
Yeah, we're all friends here. we trust
That's a
each other.
definitive term.
Well,
Jay, stop attacking my firewall.
Oh.
And I will probably live stream tomorrow, I think. I'm still just working my way through all of my recapping backlog, so I'll probably live stream one of them.
Awesome.
Cool. And I'll be cleaning my office.
Yeah, I think we'll all believe that when we see it. So I'll be doing more 3D printing. So hey,
I'm convinced that he does clean it, but then he messes it before we even get to see it clean.
I believe that too.
That really is how it goes.
It's a
I've been there when it
perpetual
was
state
clean.
of cleaning.
I was there when it was clean. I got home and like did a Skype call 24 hours later, and it was like he never touched it.
All right,
What the
guys.
hell, man?
Before we leave tonight, one last thing about, I know we had a thing about Discord, but there's our link to our Discord channel. So if you want to participate, come on over there. Every once in a while, we do show up in the voice chat after the show, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it tonight. But
That's because Steve's streaming.
Yeah, because Steve is going to be streaming. Yeah. So we're going to go over there and make fun of him.
Hey!
The link to Discord is broken.
What?
Oh,
Sure you typed it right?
Did it expire?
Try the link in chat and see if it's still broken.
I clicked on it, nothing
It's the
happened.
same one, all right?
Yeah.
It's working.
The link to Discord, it should be working. Did you type the S?
Yeah, or did you type a Q instead of a G?
Did you type the whole thing?
I like.
I'm not going to wait for an answer.
Yeah.
It works. Trust
All
me.
right, guys. So, been fun tonight, and we'll see you guys next week. Same channel, same time. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
See you later.